If you like my videos and you want such more videos, then do like, share and consider subscribing. For the notification, do not forget to tap the notification icon. Thank you. Good morning students, welcome to today's class. Today I am going to start with a new chemistry chapter, and before I commence this chapter I would like you to ponder on the previous chapter which we discussed, that was about combustion and flame. I hope you remember a very important point in that chapter, that for every kind of combustion a fuel is needed. A combustible substance is needed. Now this chapter is about that only. It is about the coal and petroleum, the backbone of the fuel. So we are going to study about the chapter that is coal and petroleum. These are the conventional sources of energy, means those fuels which are traditionally used. Now what I mean by saying traditionally means they are readily available, and most of the household or the industrial places uses this type of fuels for getting energy. So these are called the conventional sources of energy, and they form the main backbone of the sources of energy that is used in households, factories, industries, everywhere. So we are going to study about coal and petroleum, but before I commence on what is coal and what is petroleum, let's see that what kind of resources they are. Okay, now if you remember in your geography class, you may have studied about resource. What do you mean by resource? What are resources? Yes, resources are those which make our life comfortable. So anything which make our life comfortable, which we use in our daily life and which makes our life easy, is called resources. Now on the basis of whether they are found in naturally or they are made artificially, the resources are divided into natural resources and artificial or man-made resources. Now there are lots of resources which are natural, which we are getting from the nature. For example, the solar energy is natural, the air is natural, the water is natural, whereas plastics are man-made, means the synthetic fibers are man-made. So further if we classify, now I am going to concentrate on natural resources. Let's see what is the further classification of natural resources. Natural resources can be further classified into renewable and non-renewable. Now what these terms mean is actually in the term itself, means the definition is in the term itself. It is made up of renew. Renew means which can get new again and again, which can be recycled again and again. The recycling period is short in this. What is recycling period? Means the period in which it can form back again. So those resources which can be renewed again and again are grouped into renewable resources, and those which cannot be renewed or their recycling period is too long are grouped into non-renewable resources. Let's see a few examples to understand this concept better. Renewable resources, the example could be very easily solar energy. Whereas wind, water is also one of the example of renewable resources. Non-renewable resources, the example is coal, petroleum. It takes really long time, very long time to make them again. So they cannot be renewed in a short period of time. They take millions of years to form back again. Therefore, they are grouped into non-renewable resources. Now, if you look into renewable resources, are all the renewable resources can be used as much as we can? Can we keep on using them for eternity? Definitely not. The renewable resources can further classified into exhaustible and inexhaustible. Means there are some renewable resources which you can use and they can be renewed again and again in a short period of time, and they are not going to be exhausted at all. whereas inexhaustible resources are those renewable resources which will be exhausted if they are not used judicially. For example, if we look into renewable resources, the example which I have already written can be grouped into inexhaustible resources. Here I am going to classify further into exhaustible and inexhaustible. What it means? Exhaustible means which can get which can get finished off. Inexhaustible means which cannot be finished off, how much we can use it. So solar energy is one of that energy which you can use as much as you can, because the sun life is more than the earth life. So it is not going to be exhausted at all in the span of earth life. So inexhaustible resources is your solar energy. But as you can see in the exhaustible resources, the topsoil. I hope you have remembered that in the class 7th you have studied about soil. That the topsoil means the uppermost layer of the soil, which is made up of humus and plants and animals, that is very fertile, is actually a exhaustible resource. If it is not conserved properly, then it can exhaust it. So that will be included into exhaustible resources. Apart from that, plants and animals. If we are not protecting them, the plants and animals will also lose their life, and we can see there will be no plants and animals. As we have seen in this year only in the chapter conservation of plants and animals, that if plants and animals are not protected, soon we will be seeing mass extinction of many plants and animals. So that will be included into exhaustible sources of energy. Let me write that also. So we have around 2 examples of exhaustible. That is your topsoil, that can be easily exhausted with the continuous soil erosion, and plants and animals. So we have this. So we have this classification of resources. We have natural resources and we have man-made resources. As we are not at all putting effort in understanding the man-made resource, we are only concentrating on natural resources, which are further classified into renewable and non-renewable. The renewable resources will be classified again into exhaustible and inexhaustible. So in which category the coal and petroleum is falling? They are falling into non-renewable resources. So they are conventional sources of energy, but altogether they are also non-renewable sources of energy. Now just see, the coal and petroleum, which are traditional sources of energy or conventional sources of energy, as I have said, is used in a large amount everywhere in all over the world, but their resources are very limited. So it is very important to conserve them. We will discuss about this topic in the end of the chapter, but before that, let's understand that what is coal and what is petroleum, what it is made up of, how it is made, what is the process behind it, and how much different types of coal and how the petroleum is formed into different type of fuels. Let's discuss in this chapter. And this chapter, again I am repeating, this is your coal and petroleum chapter in chemistry. So let's discuss about coal and petroleum. Coal and petroleum is also called as fossil fuels. Now this is one question which often comes, that why coal and petroleum are called as fossil fuels. Yes, anybody knows? Fuels, you know that why it is called as fuels, because this is combustible substance. But why they are called as fossils? Now what is fossils? Now the fossils are the dead remains of plants and animals. These dead remains of plants and animals are buried in the earth very below. So what is happening here, that the plants which may have fell down due to many natural reasons is buried under the soil layer by layer, which is pushing it into the very deep layer, and they have changed into fossils, means their remains are there inside the soil. Similarly, in the case of animals, that many animals, due to the course of time, they have died and they were buried down into the earth, and their skeleton has been preserved due to being buried into the different layers of the soil. So these remains are called as fossils. The fossils are of very much use in history for archaeological survey. Many of the plants and animals which have existed in the past time have been found out due to the fossils only. We were able to know about the different animals that existed due to the fossils we have found it. So these fossils are of many use. Now what is happening in the case of coal and petroleum, that the plants and animals, when they are buried down into the earth, due to very high pressure and temperature, they have converted into fuels. Therefore they are called as fossil fuels. So they have made from the dead remains of plants and animals, therefore they are called as fossils. So let's write the definition of fossil first and then answer the question again so that if you remember it properly. So what is fossils? Let me write that the definition. Dead remains of plants and animals buried inside the earth and why they are called as fossil fuels? Because these dead remains of plants and animals which have converted into fuel by very high pressure and temperature. So when the fossils, means the dead remains of plants and animals, they are subjected to very high pressure and temperature, they convert into fuel. So that fuel is called as fossil fuel. So the fossils are the dead remains of plants and animals, and when they convert into fuels, they convert into fuels due to very high pressure and temperature. So, dead remains of plants and animals which was buried under the earth for millions of years, has converted into fuels due to high pressure and temperature. Now I have written down the key points on the blackboard about what is the definition of fossil fuels. You will write a definition yourself. I have written down the definition of fossils and have written down how they convert into fuels. You will form the definition yourself. It will help you to remember the definition properly because you are writing it yourself. So try to write the definition yourself so that you can remember it easily. So this is about the fossil fuels. Now there are two different types of fossil fuels, that is coal and petroleum. Of course the natural gas is also there. So let's discuss these fossil fuels one by one. These fossil fuels, as already mentioned earlier, that these fossil fuels are the backbone of energy. Means maximum energy is taken from these fossil fuels, the coal, petroleum and natural gas. So let's discuss about them individually one by one. Let's start with the coal first. Coal. What is coal? Now, if you have ever seen that the coal is a dark black color solid, I think you may have seen that in the sweet shop where the chulhas which is used to make the sweets, the coal is used as a fuel in that. So, if we look into the structure of coal, coal is black, solid, hard material. This black, solid, hard material is actually formed by the sedimentation process. So it is a sedimentary rock. And it contains carbon. Now carbon is found in a large amount in coal, and that decides the type of the coal it is. Means if there is large amount of carbon, that coal will be different, and if there is less amount of carbon, that coal will be different. So they are distinguished into different type of coal due to the percentage of carbon it has. We'll discuss that later. Before that, we'll discuss that what is the structure or the texture. What is the nature of the coal? So structure and nature. So it is black, solid, hard material. It is generally made up of a sedimentation process. It contains carbon and it is combustible. Of course, that is it is combustible. Therefore, it is used as fuel. Now, what is the uses of coal? Now, it has various uses. Various uses means the coal is used extensively in cooking. Still means there are a lot of household where it was used earlier, but it has been replaced by many other sources of energy. But still there are lots of sweet shops where coal is used extensively, and in many places, especially in all those places where there are extreme winters, the coal is used to warm up the houses. So mainly it is used to generate heat. So it is used in warming up the house or in the steam engines. Apart from that, it is used in thermal power station and in many other places like metallurgical process where it is used for extraction of metals, and the coal is used in the blast furnaces. And apart from that, it is also used for making plastic, chemicals, explosives. Let's enlist all those uses of coal. So coal is used as fuel, cooking fuel. It is used in thermal power station. It is used in metallurgical process. Metallurgical process means in extraction. And where in extraction? In furnace. It is used to making many things like plastics, explosives, chemicals, explosives. Apart from that, chemicals are also made into that. So generally you can say it is used to produce heat, and that heat is used in several places like warming houses, in thermal power station, for running steam engines. So all these places the coal is used. Now where this coal is found in India, we are just going to talk about first India, because around 60% of Indian sources of energy is coming from the coal. So 60% we are dependent on coal for our energy source. So where is this coal found in India and where are those locations? Let's discuss that. So after looking into the uses of coal, let's see where the coal is found in India. Majorly the coal is found in India in the Chota Nagpur Plateau. I think you may have studied that in your geography, that where the Chota Nagpur Plateau is situated. So in India, coal is found in Jharkhand, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, and West Bengal. You can look into your atlas or geography book to see the main location in all these states where the coal is found. Well, the coal found in India is not of very good quality, means the carbon content is not found high in the coal which is found in India. Which coal is of good quality and which coal is of bad quality, we will discuss that after the topic how the coal is formed. So let's discuss how coal is formed in our nature. So now let's understand the concept of how the coal was formed back in the times. Now just imagine that the earth was covered with very thick vegetation around 300 million years ago. Actually, Earth was really covered with the thick vegetation because there was hardly any human intervention. So, these trees which were standing on the ground may have fell down due to many natural calamities like earthquake and floods, and these natural felling of the trees, this dead vegetation got covered with layer of the soil which may occur due to soil erosion and soil deposition. As the time passed, this dead vegetation was pushed more into the ground, into the soil, and there were more trees which fell down again due to natural calamities. So due to layer by layer, the trees which fell down, the dead vegetation in swampy areas especially, they got buried under the soil, and this layer went very thick, and due to high pressure and temperature, this dead vegetation converted into black solid. So what is happening in this case, that this dead vegetation which happened due to natural calamities got buried into the soil, and due to high pressure and temperature. Now this is the key point, high pressure and temperature. The dead vegetation got converted into peat. That was a type of coal which was containing very less amount of carbon. As it was pushed very low into the ground, due to carbonization process, the coal converted into lignite and further on anthracite. So the coal which is found deep below into the earth will be the better coal as compared to the coal which is found on the topmost layer. So this is how the process of carbonization is happening. The process of formation of coal is called carbonization. So what is happening in this case? Due to high pressure and temperature, the dead vegetation, here only plants are taking the role. Dead vegetation is converted into coal. The coal, how? With the help of high pressure and temperature. I am repeating the whole process again, that due to the natural process like the earthquake and floods, the trees, especially in the swampy areas, fell down and they got buried into the soil, and with time the soil sediments, the sand sediments covered this vegetation as it was pushed down below, because with time more layer of soil covered the vegetation. It was pushed very below into the earth, and since it was pushed very below into the earth, there was high pressure and temperature which started converting this dead vegetation into a black matter. Now this dead vegetation which was peat, means because less amount of vegetation was converted into the soil, but as it went below into the earth, with time it was converted into a better coal, and the coal which you found below into the layer of the soil will be a better coal as compared to the coal which is found on the top layer. So the coal which is found in the below layer is the anthracite, then there is bituminous, then there is lignite, and the top layer coal, means the coal which we really find out not very deep into the earth, is the peat, which contains the less amount of the carbon into it. So all the four types of coal is found. I will draw that again for understanding the types of the coal. So just understand the process of carbonization. I am repeating again. The process of carbonization is a process of formation of coal. And how the formation of coal is happening? Due to dead vegetation which is converting into coal due to high pressure and temperature. So I am repeating the definition again. Carbonization is the process of formation of the coal from the dead vegetation by high pressure and temperature. Do remember this definition and put down into your notebook. So let's understand that how the same coal is formed into different types of coal with very high pressure and temperature, and where we can found the very good type of coal, that is anthracite. Now what is happening? I have already discussed this process of carbonization, that due to the natural felling of the trees that would have been due to natural calamities, this trees got pressurized with the layer of the soil, and due to high pressure and temperature they got converted into a black matter. So on the top you will find the kind of coal which is having high moisture and it may not contain good amount of carbon into it. So that is peat. The peat which is on the topmost layer, when it gets pressurized with the layer of the soil, as the time passes, since more sediments of soil is burying it down below into the earth and more high pressure and temperature is applied on it, the peat get converted into a soft black coal which is having less moisture as compared to this, and it contains around 25 to 30% of carbon. This type of coal is called lignite. Now what happening next is, when lignite is pressurized more with the pressure of the soil and high pressure and temperature, it converts back into a high black hard coal which is called bituminous. And at the below the layer which is the below, means the deep down layer, will contain coal which is having the least moisture. So as you seen that as you go down below into the layer of the soil, you will find the coal which is having high amount of carbon but very least amount of moisture into it. So in the deepest layer you will find coal which is pitch black, less moisture and high amount of carbon into it. Around 95% of carbon is found into this, and this is thought to be the best, and this is regarded as the best coal because it contains very high amount of carbon into it. So the types of coal are 4 types: peat, lignite, bituminous and anthracite, and they are differentiated on the basis of the content of carbon into it and whether they are having moisture, less moisture or more moisture. So the main point of difference between these different types of coal is the amount of carbon into it. So we will discuss about these different type of coal, since they are having different amount of carbon into it, therefore they are used in different purpose. It is not that only this coal is used and rest is discarded. Every coal comes into our use in according to our needs. So there are 4 different types of coal. Put down that into your notebook that there are 4 different type of coal. I will write down that again, and all of them are having different type of features.